A lot of people ask me, how can they learn gunsmithing? What can they do? They maybe don't have the opportunity to go to gunsmithing school, so they want to know how they can learn gunsmithing at home. And it's a pretty simple answer. This is a Winchester Model 67, 22 single-shot rifle. They made it from 1933 or 1934 up to 1963. One of the single-shot rifles that John Browning designed back in about 1900. Let's call it a $100 rifle if you would, maybe more, maybe less, but it's just a single-shot rifle. If you want to learn gunsmithing, you can learn it all right here, because there's about 40 things you can do to this old 22, and each one is going to teach you something about gunsmithing. Now, this particular gun has got a steel butt plate on it, but steel or plastic is what you would normally find. You can see that it's not checkered. The grip and the forend aren't checkered. There's no grip cap down here. This is not very well defined. No flutes in the comb of the stock. You can see it's got a chrome-plated trigger, chrome-plated bolt. There's no forend tip on it. The barrel is 27 inches long, a little bit ungainly for a stock this small. It's got some swivel studs in it. A little chip out here, lots of dings and scratches and marks in it. But you know what? All that stuff we can change. Let me show you how. So here's what a finished, if you would, Winchester Model 67 looks like after we've done about 40 things to it. I'm just going to kind of describe them one at a time, and we'll show you a little bit of footage of what it looked like. We installed literally a recoil pad. Now this is a very thin recoil pad, so it's a hard rubber pad, but the process for installing this is the same as the process for installing a recoil pad. So in order to do this, you have to learn how to install a recoil pad, how to flatten everything out, put it on, grind away everything it doesn't look like belongs there, polish up the sides. But installing a recoil pad is one of the things you can learn how to do on an old 22. Moving on up the stock, you can see that we have defined this area from the toe line into the pistol grip. So if you recall on the original, it comes just right straight up to the bottom of here. So we do just a little bit of cut and straighten the toe line out. So what you're learning is you're learning to work with woodworking equipment, with files and rasp, and you're learning shape that pleases the eye. So you can see this little flute back here. We have reshaped the point of the comb, and we have cut in these flutes all by hand. And so this looks just completely different when you do that work than what the original looked like. More of a deluxe version, if you would. You can see that we have put a pistol grip cap on this stock. So in order to do that, you have to learn to flatten out the original surface, shape it round, put the cap on it, get it all fit up nice. You can see that we have checkered the stock, and of course that's done after it's finished. So we got a beautiful finish on the stock, a lesson in and of itself. Checkered both the forend and the pistol grip, and we've put an ebony forend tip on it. We have put in swivel studs so that you can sling it. What you can't see down on the inside of the stock is we have also glass bedded the stock. So you think, gee, how do I learn to glass bed something? Well, glass bedding a Winchester 67 is not much different than glass bedding a Mauser Model 98. One more thing that we've done to the stock, we actually shortened it as part of installing the forend tip, and we reshaped the forend to make it nice and round and cut down all the extra wood on it. So a lot of shaping on the wood before we ever sanded it and sealed it and filled and finished. A huge learning project, if you would, to go from the original Winchester Model 67 stock to what you see here. And we won't actually talk about the lock on this gun because the receiver is integral with the barrel on an inexpensive 22 like this Winchester 67. But one of the first things that we did is we shortened the barrel. So the barrel on this gun was 27 inches long, and 23 inches makes a much better sporting rifle. So we cut 4 inches off the barrel. And when you do that, obviously you have to cut a new front sight dovetail and refit that front sight to it. And then you have to recrown the barrel. So interesting things to learn when you do that. Some years back, we used to actually teach gunsmithing to some of our employees here at Midway. And when we gave them the gun, gave them the project gun, we would have pulled this rear sight up and bent it so that it was way off the barrel and taken out the rear sight elevator. And part of the project then was to straighten up the rear sight. That's not very hard to do. But also then to build a new rear sight elevator. Well, it's just a little bitty piece of flat and mild steel, but you've got to cut away everything, got to cut in your sight notches, got to cut in your serrations here. So that's quite a challenge for somebody that's never done anything on it by hand, is to build that rear sight elevator and straighten out the rear sight. Back here a little bit farther, you can see that we have engine turned the bolt on this gun. Now remember, this bolt was nickel plated and or chrome plated, one or the other. And so what we had to do was to strip all of that off and then do a standard engine turning job on the bolt. You can see that the trigger is gold plated. Well, what an interesting thing. You strip the chrome off of the bolt, or off the trigger, at which time you can replate it in gold. So you get a beautiful, beautiful trigger here that just is a little touch of class. And you can see all the work then that's been done, all the learning that there is to do on just an old 22. About 40 different things you can do, and truly refinishing the stock, reshaping the stock on this is no different than reshaping the stock on a Mauser 98 Sporter. It's just handwork, it's paying attention to detail, it's doing everything right, keeping your surfaces square and flat, but an awful lot that you can learn from an old 22. And if you want to learn gunsmithing, go find you a $100 22 and spend some time on it.